Yo, the source is back in the building. SUC in here. I know y'all accustomed to the video playing the intro. I don't have it pulled up at the moment. But we're gonna go in. We've been waiting on the brother. Brother called us out earlier. Brother called me out earlier, talking smack against Haplogroup E. And right now,
What's his name? What's his name?
the brother name is Frank. Let me get his name real quick. Frank, what's his name, bro? Frank what? Frank Big Facts on Facebook.
Boogie Down Bronx, Frank.
Yeah, he's from the Boogie Down Bronx, he say. The BDP crew. You know what I'm saying? I
For
never
the KRS niggas.
I'm an MC Shan fan. You know what I'm saying? I'm an MC Shan fan by the way of Nas, because I'm a Nas fan. And Nas like MC Shan, so I like Nas. Therefore, I like MC Shan. You know what I'm saying? But no, the brother was talking all type of noise about Haplogroup E. The brother said our people didn't build pyramids. His brother was just making all type of outlandish claims. And I'm like, bruh, they all got E markers. Ancient Egyptians got E markers. North Africans got E markers. Berbers got E markers. All these people got E markers. So what do you mean we didn't build nothing? We didn't build the pyramid. And that's why I love having these genetic talks, because it brings everything into perspective. Brings everything in perspective. Irrespective to phenotype, because a lot of our people have this black and white paradigm where we think black people is one race and white people is one race, and that stems from the German Blumenbach, you understand, in the 18th century, bringing forth his scientific racism, where they classified people based off of craniology, and they classified people based off of continents and skin color. So they would say the African race is the black race, the European race is the white race, the American race is the red race, and the Malaysian race is the yellow race. And to this day, we have this binary oppositional model, meaning if you're black, you can't have a white lineage, and if you're white, you can't have a black lineage. And I got a presentation that I might preview tonight, since the brother didn't show up. We were going to have a live discussion. Discounting that, you can't have, because what you have in biology and what you have in all organisms is what we call phenotypic plasticity, meaning an organism has a variegated look. Its children and its offspring will have a variegated look, like a flower. If a flower has a lot of genetic diversity, it can produce all different type of colors and shades and types of phenotypes. Same thing with what we call Africans. The Khoisan people are one of the most genetically diverse peoples on the planet Earth, and they can produce many phenotypes. You understand? So when you look and examine haplogroup E, you see a lot of phenotypic plasticity. You see people like Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler had an E haplogroup, E1B1B, EM215, E3B. Einstein is E3B. You understand? Matter of fact, they took all of the modern Jewish DNA and sequenced it, and 30% of it was E markers. 30% of the Sephardian was E markers, and 20% of the Ashkenazis was E markers. So it's clearly an E integration. And on this channel, we glorify haplogroup E because many of us descend from haplogroup E, meaning we all share a common male ancestor. And if we follow the biblical model, that's what's being taught, common male ancestry. You have Japheth, Ham, and Shem. Now, the modern interpretation, and a lot of these people on the internet is trying to say J is the Jewish marker, but that doesn't make any sense, because on one hand, you say J is the Canaanite marker. On one hand, you say J is the European or ancient Japhetic marker. So wait a minute. J cannot be Shem, Ham, and Japheth. If we're going off paternal clades and common male ancestors, they can only be one or the other. They can't be all three. You understand? And from our research, all of the F lineages, which includes J, G, H, I, all of the ancient Europeans from the Balkans to Georgia, from Russia, all of those people, even the Chinese, the O, those will be Japhite, and DE and CT leading into DE, and the split from D and E would be Shem, and A and B would be Ham, which makes complete sense.
Well, also, you got to remember that they claim everything. They claim to be Hamites as well. They claim to be the white Hamites that built Egypt.
Right.
But remember when I asked you too, brother, because I'm one person that believes the earth was in one piece. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to see our stuff everywhere. And we were scattered throughout the earth. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know if there's many people believe the world was in one piece. I don't get no flat earth argument because I don't care nothing about that. If I could get that walking by boat or plane, I don't care if it's flat around. Okay? But I do believe from my studies and what the Holy Quran say about the world being one piece, because it talks about how the rocks on the edges are the same rocks, that match other continents, And the Prophet Muhammad knew where the salt water divided from where the fresh water was too, and also knew about the fetus. But I'm not gonna get into all that. But yeah, the Earth was one piece at one time, and I do believe we can come with sources with that. It might be a good debate too about the Earth being one piece that are flat around.
What's interesting with that, the first person to bring forth the evidence that the Earth was one piece. Now that's off topic, but we can touch on it a little bit. Was a Christian scientist, and he said the Bible says all of the land was one mass. He based it off the Bible. So you get Pangea from someone believing in the Bible. That's where the idea came from, which was a prediction, a scientific prediction derived from a biblical verse. You know what I'm saying? So all you people that's saying, oh, the Bible ain't got nothing to do with science, the Bible got a lot to do with it. You understand? That concept was derived from the book of Genesis.
Well, see, a lot of issues is coming up with is because people don't realize that words, when they were first spoken, don't have the same meaning. People have changed the meaning of words. See, that's why it's important for us to study etymology. If you don't study etymology, all this stuff is just confusing. You have to study etymology to know what the words originally meant when they first spoke them. And just because you change the meaning of the word does not mean the word's meaning has changed. That's like stupidity.
Right. I want to share my screen and get to Haplogroup E, but that's a powerful point. That's connotation and denotation of words. But we can get into that. But let me bring this out about phenotypes, because the brother that was supposed to come on tonight, he was basing everything off of the binary oppositional model, meaning if you're black, then you're going to be these black people and have nothing to do with Israelites and nothing to do with Shemites because you're black, basing everything off skin color. Let me show you this.
Yeah, but we got to remember that they consider albinos, black albinos, white. They call them black white people. See, so that's why I said people don't realize that you're being duped in a lot of these terms because you're not really looking at the etymology of the words.
Right. Look, this is from a presentation that I was building. I will release the full presentation once this is completed. But I just want to, give you guys a quick little preview. And it's titled "Phenotypes Do Not Matter: Abolishing the Social Norm Based on Falsehood." Because when many people base race solely off phenotype, that is a falsehood. That is a false dichotomy. And we know that because genomes have been sequenced. We had the 1,000 Genome Project, and we have many more projects that are opening up our understanding of who we are related to genetically. And when we study who we are related to genetically, many of those look European. Now, this is from the genetics of African populations and health and diseases by Muntazar Ibrahim, page number 38. Now, Muntazar Ibrahim is a Sudanic geneticist with his masters and his doctorates. Okay, so he deals with this, he lives this, he breathes this. It says, it is indeed ironic that these with what can be called the stereotype African facial morphology, like because a lot and very dark skin, are precisely those with European haplogroups. So you have people with European haplogroups like RVA8, which is the Chadic people. R1b, they share R1b. R1b is one of the most numerous Western European haplogroups. And you got these people having what we call African facial morphology, African phenotypes, very dark skin, but in their DNA, in their blood, they are these Europeans. They are descendants of these Europeans. They are descendants of those Japhites. You understand? It says, while others who phenotypically more resembled Europeans are often predominantly of the E haplogroup. This is why you cannot judge someone solely on their skin tone and how they look, their jaw structure, all that. You cannot use skeletal references and craniology and phenotype to graph a concept of who someone is, because their DNA can obliterate all that. Go ahead, brother.
Just to add into that, but you got to also count people's diet. Your diet has a lot to do with how your bone structure grows, your muscular skeleton develops. So that's very important as well.
Right. So you got people that look like what we call quote unquote Europeans, the typical European look, that are haplogroup E. I believe Champollion. What's that, brother? The French explorer, Champollion.
Yeah, Champollion. Yep.
Yeah, he was E1B1B. You understand? Adolf Hitler was E1B1B. Einstein was E1B1B. You understand? These people have E markers, but they look what we call European, quote unquote. So that's why you can't judge people based off phenotypes. And this brother was going to judge black people in America off just, oh, you black, and black people are just supposed to be isolated in sub-Saharan Africa. That's wrong. We have E markers in Europe, Asia, North Africa, because they think North Africa is a whole different type of people. Those are our brothers. Those are our sisters. You understand? That's our family. The Berbers is our family, irrespective to how they look. They are family. You understand? We all connected because we all descend from a common ancestor. And that's what the Bible teach. Common paternal ancestry. When you open the book of Genesis, all you see is common paternal ancestor. It goes off the common male ancestor. Ham is a male, right? And they say those that derive from Ham are Hamites. Those that derive from Shem are Shemites. Those that derive from Japheth are Japhites.
Also, brother,
genetics. Go ahead.
Also, brother, what's the code word for Bantu?
No, you got to educate me on that one. I don't know.
Pastoralist.
Oh yeah, that's a fact.
That's the code word for Bantu. So anywhere you see where they put pastoralist in, that was a Bantu migration. That's part of Bantu speakers.
That's a fact. Our haplogroup spread pastoralism to the world. You understand? We made that innovation. We brought that science into the world and that understanding into the world. You understand? The Natufians are accredited for it. And when you look at the Natufian matrices, the Natufian matrices is dominated by haplogroup E. You understand? Let me pull that up. Hopefully I got it up here. I don't have it up here. But there's a chart with all of the Natufian specimens in their DNA. I was reading it earlier. Let me see if I have it in another tab. I might have it in another tab. Assess the uncertainty, 3B. Let's see. No, I don't. It's a Harvard study. if I can get it. Hold on, man.
Hey, make sure you send that to me, man.
Yeah. So it's a Harvard study. I'm gonna pull it up. But basically, the Harvard study was done in 2016 by Lazarus, which is a geneticist, and others. And they basically did the genomic breakdown and sequencing of all of the Natufian examples. Only 2 of them were J, and they came later. They came during the Bronze period. That's why I keep telling y'all. That's what I had to educate EMAC on yesterday. From the Epipaleolithic all the way to the Chalcolithic, which is the Copper era or Copper epoch, Haplogroup E dominated that region. Our ancestors dominated that region. And what's interesting is that we find EP2 amongst 2 of the Natufians that were found. Now, EP2 is the ancestor of what? E1B1A and E1B1B. EP2 can produce either one of those. That's why they identify EP2 as either E1B1A and EB1B, because his children, he can produce those children, right?
And also, I remember he mentioned something about the Wolof people yesterday. He needs to do more research, because when you find out that during the 1300s there was an expulsion of Hebrews that left the areas of Italy, and also that was Sephardic, and they went down into that area, and that's when the Wolof kingdom had its biggest golden age, is in the 1300 period, when those people migrated, those Hebrew people migrated to make it a popping kingdom. See, so people don't do enough research to connect the dots.
Facts.
So Jay is the youngest haplogroup?
No, J in the Levant, they wasn't there already. They came later in the Levant, where Israel is now. They weren't even around. It was mainly our ancestors in that land first, showing people how to farm and having permanent dwellings, being able to fish, you understand, and have our own little local ponds, collecting different herbs. We started that. And that's how we know civilization came through us, because you need farming and agriculture and pastoralism to spearhead civilization. You understand? People would try to split up Haplogroup E. We all
brother, you just nailed something right there. You just made me think. That's why Adam couldn't start the civilization, because the ground was cursed with him, remember? And Seth had to come and start civilization, because, oh brother, you just nailed something right there with that one.
Yeah, I mean, you can't start civilization as a hunter-gatherer. You have to sit down and be sedentary to start civilization, to come up with languages, to teach people, to have schools. You know, you understand? To have these buildings where you're not living in caves anymore, permanent dwellings. You understand? To build sciences and technology, you can't be a hunter-gatherer. You understand? That's not for a man.
Yeah, man, that's the source, man. That's the source, man. You gotta source up and shut up, man. What's the source?
That's a fact.
That's what I'm saying. This the source. This is what we do.
And y'all don't see why that dude didn't want to show up, man, because he knew he had no leg to stand on. But this is from Harvard, man. So Harvard Genomic Insights into the Origin of Farming in the Ancient Near East. Now, we're going to go to the portion where it talks about the Y chromosome haplogroup variation in the ancient Near East, to back up what I said earlier about the new Natufians, man. We'll go all the way to page 50. I believe it's page 50. And within this article that was released in 2016, all right, so it says to determine the Y chromosome haplogroup of male individuals, we use the nomenclature of the International Society of Genetic Genealogy. You know what I'm saying? So that's legit. All geneticists use them, ISOGG. So I refer to them as well. So they deal with all these places like Armenia. Let's go down. We were Iran. Yeah, CT in Iran. The Natufians. Here we go. So the Natufians, you see that? E1, B1, B1, B2. You understand? So that's one Natufian down. The other Natufian was E1, B1, which is EP2. And you see what it has in quotations? X, E1, B1, A1, E1, B1, B1, B1. This individual derived for the mutation P179, defining haplogroup E1, B1 and upstream mutation M5403, defining haplogroup E. It was ancestral for Z1116, E1B1A1, CTS 8649, E1B1B1B1, and could be designated as E1B1, X, E1B1A1, and E1B1B1B1. Why? Because E1B1 or EP2 can create E1B1A1 or E1B1B1B1. This is the haplogroups that they are finding amongst the early people in the Levant. The Natufians, man. This is what they're finding. So now I want to go to the discussion on this paper. I believe it's a discussion. Let me get to it. Where they break down what we just read. All right, here it is right here. Page 57. All right, you're right here. Yeah. It says second. I don't know. Can y'all see that? Let me blow it up. Make sure y'all can see what I'm reading. It says second, we observed that all three Natufian individuals that could be assigned to a specific haplogroup belong to haplogroup E1B1. This is thought to have an East African origin and a 45,000-year-old individual from the Ethiopian highlands. So the Ethiopian highlands, we're going to get into an article about that a little later. They called him a Eurasian farmer. So when you deal with the man from the Mota cave in Ethiopia, he came from Eurasia. They designated him as a Eurasian farmer. You got E1, B1A, EP2, and Eurasia, and being connected with in the Levant with the Natufians. This is where these specimens were found. So who has the oldest presence or the older presence in Israel, ancient Israel? Our ancestors do. And this is why they don't want to have these conversations over here on the source. It says, this is thought to have an East African origin, and a 4,500-year-old individual from the Ethiopian highlands belong to it. An African origin of the Natufians have been proposed based on their sub-Saharan cranial morphology in comparison to later West Eurasian samples. However, when we test whether present-day sub-Saharan Africans share more alleles with Natufians than they do with other ancient West Eurasian individuals, we do not find expected symmetry. If Natufians have ancestry with present-day sub-Saharan Africans, is the existence of haplogroup E1B1B in ancient East Africa and nearby Levant and two earlier samples from both regions raises questions about the ultimate origin. This haplogroup continues to exist in the pre-pottery Neolithic period, but is not documented in ancient Europe or the ancient Near East outside the Levant. This appears to be consistent with E1B1, being intrusive to the Near East from nearby Africa, rather than having long-term presence in the region. An association of E1B1 migrants from Africa with basal. Now, here's the killer part. With basal Eurasian ancestry is possible. What does basal Eurasian mean? It's going to tell you. Basal Eurasians are so named because of their phylogenetic position basal to other Eurasians, not for their geographical provenance. This means basal means the base, the beginning. This means this puts E1B1 basal or first amongst any other Eurasian genetically.
Brother, you know, I showed that up in my DNA with Jet Match as basal.
Right. Basal means the beginning, the base.
Mm-hmm.
So basal Eurasians are so named because of their phylogenetic position. Phylogenetic position means on the phylogenetic tree. They come first. They're basal to other Eurasians. So who belongs there? Who was there longest? Who the one brought the innovation? Who the one brought farming? We answering all these questions. Who brought all the languages? Yesterday we brought out who were the Proto-Asiatic, Afro-Asiatic speakers. These were Haplogroup E. So we're checking all the boxes off for being Shemites. African migrants did not participate in the initial out-of-Africa expansion, which occupies such a basal position to other Eurasians. However, such ancestry is not limited to the Levant, but also extends to the whole of Near East, where E1, B1 chromosomes have not been detected. Thus, we think that both late entry scenario basal Eurasian ancestry into the Near East, associated with gene flow from Africa, or its earlier presence in anatomically modern humans from the Levant in Arabia less than 100,000 years, are still plausible. So this is the type of information that these brothers don't want to deal with. This is why the brother didn't want to show face. Because you at the source, you got to bring the information, man. At the source, you got to stand on your swear and you got to bring corroborating data to your argument. We don't do that rhetoric mumbo jumbo here at the source. Period. So we're showing you Natufians having basal Eurasian DNA. You understand? Because what they say is, oh, we were all landlocked in Africa. That's a lie. You know how many subclaves haplogroup E has? There's a variegated amount of the children of haplogroup E and mutation that spread through the Near East, through Africa, through Europe.
Well, it's just like when you said J stands for Japheth, E stands for Eber. Okay.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So we get busy over here at the source, and I wanted the brother, to make a good show. The brother come in and he say whatever he has to say and try to combat this information, because what happens is these brothers they're in their echo chambers and their soapboxes, and they never scrutinize and they never challenge. But over here you're gonna get challenged, man. That's exactly what's gonna happen here on the source, man. Let's share some more information. Now let's go into the Mota man, because they brought up the Mota man, which is related to these Natufians. You understand? What type of nomenclature did they use for the Mota man that was found in a cave in Ethiopia? You understand? Because it's going to reveal something. You understand? It's going to reveal what we've been telling y'all this whole time. Where we at? Right here.
I keep saying Adam was a Cushite. Okay, he came from the land of Cush. The land of Cush means that his last name would have been a Cushite. He would have been a Cushite. Adam is a Cushite.
Watch this, brothers. Watch this. Let's see. I'm trying to pull it up for y'all right now. This was really impromptu, man. I was at work. I wanted the brother to have to sit down in this discussion, and the brother tucked tail and didn't show face. So we really just freestyling this. But like I said, we the ones glorifying haplogroup E. You understand? Ain't no separation over here. E1, B1B, E1, B1A, EM96, all of it. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna claim our heritage on this channel here. That's exactly what we're gonna do.
That's like everybody. See, this is what I'm saying. This is the problem. The name Cush did not originate with any descendants of Ham. Adam had 800 sons in the book of Genesis. It talks about he had 800 descendants before Ham was even thought about. So that name would have originated within the sons of Adam first. Cush would have originated, just like Canaan did not originate with Ham's descendants. It was one of the sons of Seth. Okay, so that name Canaan had nothing originally to do with Canaanites. So people have to realize that. That's why I say they interpret terms. And that's why etymology is important.
All right, I got it up here. So this is from Science Mag, right here, right? ScienceMag.org. You can see the article. First DNA extracted from an ancient skeleton shows widespread mixing with Eurasians. Africa is the birthplace of our species and the source of ancient migration that span the globe, but it has missed out on the revolution and understanding of human origin. The study of ancient DNA. Although researchers have managed to sequence the genomes of Neanderthals from Europe, prehistoric herders from Asia, and Paleo-Indians from the Americas, Africa's hot and humid climates had left little ancient DNA intact for scientists to extract. As a result, Africa was left out of the party, says anthropological geneticist Jason Hodges of Imperial College London. Until now, a paper published online this week in Science reveals the first prehistoric genome from Africa, that of Mota, a hunter-gatherer man who lived 4,500 years ago in the highlands of Ethiopia, named for the cave that held the remains. The Mota genome is an impressive feat, says Hodgins, who was not involved in the work. It gives our first glimpse into what an African genome looked like prior to many of the recent population movements. And when compared with the genomes of living Africans, it implies something startling. Africa is usually seen as a source of outward migration, but the genome suggests a major migration into Africa by farmers from the Middle East. I'm going to read that again. Maybe that went over the head of the audience, what this implies. It says, Africa is usually seen as a source of outward migrations, but the genome suggests a major migration into Africa by farmers from the Middle East, possibly about 3,500 years ago. These farmers' DNA reached deep into the continent, spread even to groups considered isolated, such as the Khoisan of South Africa and the Pygmies of the Congo. So I read this to say this, man, and we already know the paternal haplogroup that he comes from is E1B1, because we read earlier in the corroborating study that he shared the same paternal clade as the Natufians, which are the early inhabitants of the Levant, or the early inhabitants of Israel. We've been saying that these Eurasian people migrated into Africa for years. That's literally an Israelite claim that these people came from what we call the Levant, Eurasia, the Shemites, and penetrated into Africa. You know what else corroborates with that? Josephus with the Afar people. He said the Afar people were from who? Shem. And these descendants of Shem came into Africa and inhabited the northern region of Africa, right? So all this information corroborates, and we can link up and build models, sound, concrete models with this. So we have the basal Eurasian DNA within the Natufians, excuse me, and we have the Mota man who corroborates with the Natufians, showing a migration from the Middle East. What more do you brothers want? What more do y'all want? We have the corroborating information and data. We can build our arguments and our models. You understand? Anybody want to chime in on that, Dorville?
Hey man, that was wonderful, man. You know, I can't say anything against it.
That's a wrap. You done that.
Right. I mean, because what the scoffers have done in the past is saying we don't belong in the Middle East, we don't belong in the Levant, we don't belong in none of these areas. But DNA is showing us that these E markers, E1B1, which is responsible for producing E1B1A and E1B1B, is found in these areas and found with the Natufians and found as the early presence in Israel. You know what I'm saying? Way before the J marker got there. You understand? So this is how we construct our scientific model. You understand? We Shemites, man. I'm standing on that EDE. That's Shemitic blood right there. And that's what we're teaching over here at the source, man. Let me open up this PowerPoint and share some information with the people. Let me get it for you, brothers. Hold on. Give me a minute, man. Where is it at?
But it's just like if you ever put an ant, the father gave me this analogy earlier. If you ever put an ant in a jar, or if you owned an ant farm, if you ever did anything like that, the ant will seek the edges first to understand where its borders is. So when the Father created man, he put a man in the land. The man searched for the border first. So he's going to migrate toward the coast. And people will migrate from there along the coast, following waterways, and then slowly into the interior of a country. So just like the scripture says, that he said in the book of Ecclesiastes, I believe, or Proverbs, it says, notice and study the ant, you sluggard. That's how an ant does. So that's how our beginning forefathers would have done in order to migrate and expand outside of their original place where they inhabited. So
right, and we can just look at cultural diffusion. Agriculture started in the Middle East, in the Levant, and then it was brought into Africa. It was brought into Africa, you understand, and spread with Haplogroup E during an event called the Bantu expansion. You understand? That's when we start penetrating into below the Sahel and sub-Saharan Africa, West Africa. You understand? And we start replacing these, what we call pygmies, which they say is a crude word. So now they say forest people, and these sun tribes, the A and B haplogroups. You understand? Which are the real Hamites. If we're going to break this down on a biblical model, E can't be Ham. It would have to be A and B. These are the original inhabitants of Africa. You understand? It would be A and B. It wouldn't be E. It wouldn't be DE. DE come from Asia. You understand? So I'm going to share my screen and give you guys some more information. Like I said, this was off the cuff. We really freestyle. I really want the brother to come in here and stand on his swear because he was battling the information. A lot of y'all brothers be keyboard warriors on Facebook, man. Y'all keyboard warriors. You don't want to stand on your swear. You don't want to get in here. Like my brother LP, shout out to LP, said, you men are scared of confrontation. We not scared. We've been tried and tested around here. We not scared. We're going to stand on our information and build models. All right. So I'm going to share my screen and get this PowerPoint out here, y'all. All right. So we got the Eurasian origin of Y chromosome haplogroup E. Furthermore, a new mutation P143 united two other Eurasian haplogroups C and F as brothers. In turn, D, E, and CF were joined to an ancestral node defined by mutation M168 and M294. The initial scenario proposed to explain this complicated situation was that two independent migrations out of Africa occurred, one marked by D and the other marked by CF pair of lineages. However, a new interpretation arose following the discovery of more than 60,000 single nucleotide variants by next-generation sequencing techniques. The most parsimonious interpretation of the Y chromosome phylogeny constructed with these variants is that the predominant African haplogroup E arose outside the continent and back migrated to Africa. So we got information on the scientific side and scientific data from people like Vincent Cabrera saying that haplogroup E actually arose outside of the continent of Africa. And the sources on the bottom of the screen, carriers of mitochondrial DNA, macrohaplogroup L3 basal lineages migrated back to Africa from Asia around 70,000 years ago by Vincent Cabrera. So let's deal with the ancestral clade. We see a notable increase in the number of lineages outside of Africa 50 to 55,000 years ago, perhaps reflecting the geographic expansion and differentiation of Eurasian populations as they settled the vast expanse of these continents. Consistent with previous proposals, a parsimonious interpretation of the phylogeny is that the predominant African haplogroup E arose outside the continent. We've been saying this inadvertently for years. We've been saying this. We don't have an African origin. Israelites, we've been saying this. Our forefathers come from Eurasia or Asia, man. You understand? We didn't know what we were saying and didn't know the impact and the magnitude of it. You understand? But it's being backed by genetic and genomic data. And here's the source: punctuated bursts in human male demography inferred from 1,244 worldwide Y chromosome sequences by David Posnick. It was published April 25th, 2016. So again, more information on the Eurasian E. A Eurasian origin and back migration to Africa has been proposed for the African Y chromosome haplogroup E. In the same article we read earlier by Cabrera. And here, look, the dominant group in Levant, like what we were bringing out earlier, what we were reading earlier in the supplementals in Harvard from Harvard EDU. The finding contrast with both earlier Neolithic and Epipaleolithic Levantine populations, which were dominated by haplogroup E. The early Levantine populations were dominated by haplogroup E. And later Bronze Age individuals, all whom belong to haplogroup J. Like I said earlier, you had E dominating the Levant, J came later. The descendants of Japhet came into the Levant later, during the Bronze Age. Before then, we dominated that landmass.
Brother, I got breaking news.
What's happening?
For all our Fridays fans, Debo just died.
Debo died for real?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's crazy. We lost Pop and him.
Yep.
All right, that's from Ancient DNA from Chalcolithic Israel reveals the role of population mixture in cultural transformation. That's from Nature. And Edo N. Haley was behind that research. August 20, 2018 is when that was made. We got a common link between Levant and Africa. It says such a scenario would also explain the presence of Y chromosome haplogroup E in the Natufians and Levantine farmers. Remember, we read earlier about the Mata man, and that was evidence of farmers migrating into Africa. You understand? It says a common link between Levant and Africa. The source, Paleolithic DNA from the Caucasus, reveals core West Eurasian ancestry by Lazarus, September 21st, 2018. Now let's deal with the Levantine farmers. Haplogroup E is distributed across much of the continent and may be associated with the spread, what you say earlier, pastoralists, the spread of pastoral and agricultural communities. So we got these farmers coming from Eurasia. And then they go into Africa during the Bantu expansion and spread the agriculture and pastoralism, which came from the Near East. A population without Neanderthal admixture, basal to other Eurasians, we read that earlier, may have plausibly lived in Africa. Craniometric analysis has suggested an affinity between Natufian and populations of North or Sub-Saharan Africa, a result that finds some support for Y chromosome analysis, which show that the Natufians and successor Levantine and Neolithic populations carried haplogroup E. So if Shem was these ancestral people and populations that lived in these areas, then it's safe to deduce that haplogroup E would be Shem, would be a line.
You didn't read that study. You didn't read this study yesterday. You should have read this, and that would have just really closed his mouth.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm going off the cuff. You know what I'm saying? It said haplogroup E of ultimate African origin, which has been detected in other ancient males from West Eurasia. You understand? So there's more evidence that we belong in those areas, man. and it fits the narrative because if Shem is around, we got E there, we got DE there, we got CT there. You understand? Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's deal with the Ibero-Maurusians because the brother mentioned the Ibero-Maurusian, the North Africans. North Africans ain't got nothing to do with y'all. Okay, let's see. North Africa is the key region of understanding human history, but the genetic history of its people is largely unknown. We present genomic data from 15,000-year-old humans attributed to the Ibero-Maurusian culture from Morocco. We find a genetic affinity with early Holocene Near Easterners, best represented by Levantine Natufians, suggesting a pre-agricultural connection between Africa and the Near East. We do not find evidence for gene flow from Paleolithic Europeans to late Pleistocene North Africans. The Tafarat individuals derive, what does it say? 1/3 of their ancestry from sub-Saharan Africans. So how are you going to say that we don't have anything to do with these people? We have a lot to do with these people. They get 1/3 of their ancestry from us. And it says Bex approximated by a mixture of genetic components preserved in present, look, here's the key, present day West and East Africans. Thus, we provide direct evidence for genetic interactions between modern humans across Africa, here you go, and Eurasia in the Pleistocene. The source, the Pleistocene North African Genome Link, Near Eastern and Sub-Saharan African human populations by the National Library of Medicine by Marieke van de Loestrecht, May 4th, 2018 is when it was published. I mean, I think this is the last one. Let me read this last one, man. And I'm gonna give it to you, Dorvell. We compile this about the Natufians again. We compile frequencies of Y chromosome haplogroups in this geographical area and their changes over the time and data set of ancient and modern Levantine populations. And note similarly to Lazarus et al. That haplogroup J was absent in all Natufian and Neolithic Levant male individuals examined thus far, but emerged during the Bronze Age in Lebanon and Jordan along with ancestry related to iron. They came later. We was already there. We was already in those lands in the Levant, spreading farming and agriculture and pastoralism, leading the world into civilization. We was already doing that. All right, so I mean, anybody bringing this nonsense, you Johnny come lately.
Hey, Josh, we started this gangster shit. Now it's the motherfucking thing we get. We started this gangster shit. Now this the motherfucking things we get. I don't mean to curse this.
Yeah, man. Brother Jahid, brother, you gotta jihad. You got some language on you, brother. I'm telling you.
Woo. I'm sorry. Hey, wait till you hear the rap song at the end. That's why brother, I always tell you to turn me off.
I turn off before that come on, okay?
Okay, well, Jesus cursed.
Nah, well, see, I don't even believe in that individual. I don't even believe in that individual, okay?
Okay, well, all right. Hey, Josh, you know I'm gonna bust a rhyme at the end, baby. You know we do the shots out and stuff. You know you can mute me when I get to cussing too much to turn me off. You know how we do it.
No, man. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna wrap it up. I just wanted to do a show tonight because the brother didn't show up. You know what I'm saying? He was a coward. His cowardice was shown. The brother said he would do it. He didn't come through. And I know tomorrow he's gonna come with all type of troll excuses. I just want to give somebody somebody out there some information they can write down and ponder on, because if they're saying that we're Ham, and why do we have this ancient presence in all of these lands, and why are we connected with agriculture? We're the reason why you have a fertile crescent. You understand? We're the reason for that. We're the reason farming spread throughout the world. We're the reason for that. Our ancestors are the reason for that.
Plus, we have to also add into the fact that there was 3 Kushes. You had an Indo-Kush, you had an Ethiopia Africa Kush, and you had an Iberian Kush. Okay, so
right. Yeah, man. Y'all got to study the Neolithic Revolution, man, and what that did for the world, and how innovative that was, man.
And for our Christian friends, we just can't stick to the Bible alone. You have to read history. You have to read other documentation.
Got to become interdisciplinary. You understand?
Right.
And a lot of our people, we struggle with that. We want to do one thing. No, we got to, interdisciplinary. We got to mix things. Like I'm mixing genetics with history. We adding historical context to the genetics.
Right. If I want to become a doctor, I can't read the Bible alone and expect to be a great surgeon. Okay.
That's a fact.
Hey, Joshua, that must have been a big old plate of spaghetti he eating. That's been longer than 30 minutes, man. He must be on Mario Brothers or something.
What'd you say? That brother got the munchies. He driving a Jack in the Box, getting two
Like I used to
a large drink. Now he going to Whataburger. He getting the patty melt, large French fry, and a Dr. Pepper. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, while he's still eating the stuff he got from Whataburger. I used to do that, man. I had a munchie riding around smoking, man. I'd be going from drive-thru to drive-thru, still eating, bro. I'd be ordering food from one drive-thru, still eating other food from the other drive-thru. Got that munchies. That's why I say he must have a big old plate of spaghetti in the boogie down front.
Hey,
he said he can eat and be back in 30 minutes. Yeah.
Jihad, where you from, man?
I'm from Galveston, bro. I'm from G-Town.
Okay, all right.
Foolish, you hear me?
I'm from the South, baby. The dirty. I'm not from the city or country. I'm from the island, baby. The third coast, nigga.
Hey, man, I like your accent, though, man. You got a strong accent. I like that, man.
Man, they tell me that everywhere I go. I think I sound like Ratchet Craig, though, man. See, I don't like my voice, right? And I'm not really advanced with this computer stuff, right? But my brothers like Joshua and Please Say That y'all know how to do that. And it put me in the mind of Moses. You know what I'm saying? He said, man, he told God, see my brother Aaron. I got a speech impediment. I sound like Ratchet Craig. You know what I'm saying? But please say to y'all and Joshua, they speak clearly. They bring the PowerPoints. They bring the, you know what I'm saying? And things stick when they can understand what I'm talking about sometimes.
This brother said,
you know how to do all that. So I do sound like Ratchet Craig. Because, man, sometimes me and Ratchet Craig, we disagree. See, me and Ratchet Craig disagree on everything, right? And we be arguing about stuff. People don't know if it's me or Ratchet Craig.
Right.
So
He right about
that.
I get him mixed up.
I say if it makes sense, it's me. If it don't make sense, it's Ratchet Craig. That's how you can tell the difference. If you hear me saying it makes sense, if something makes sense, that's me. If it don't make no sense, that's Ratchet Craig.
Hey, shout out Ratchet Craig, man.
Hey, that's my boy, man. But hey, I just asked the Most High to send my brothers, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm like Moses. Send my brother Aaron, my brother Joshua, and Please Say That y'all. I sound like Ratchet Craig.
Hey, but I tell you, it's commendable, man, that you still try to better yourself, man. That's all that is. That's what it's about. And like I said, that's what I appreciate mostly about what Yeshua does is that, with the information that he provides and all that. That's what I like most.
Yeah, that's real tough.
I'm gonna share my screen in the show with this Neolithic Revolution, man. We alluded to it and the importance of it and how our people are involved with it and pastoralism and spreading that through the continent of Africa and dominating Africa. When you read our history, we brought metallurgy, iron metallurgy into Africa, and that's how we was able to dominate those foraging tribes because they wasn't ready for no iron spears and iron weapons. You understand? So we really took over. And we had farming on our side, so we didn't have to rely on hunter-gathering. We had to just go out there and hunt our food. We grow our food. We got a better food base than y'all. You know what I'm saying? If no animals catch a disease or, you short on gazelle, that's your ass. Excuse my language, But let's get to it. Let's deal with this National Geographic. Something quick. You know what I'm saying? What was the Neolithic Revolution? also called the agricultural revolution. The shift to agriculture from hunting and gathering changed humanity forever. This is why it's a big deal and why I put so much pride in EP2 and our Haplogroup E being involved in this change. This changed humanity forever, man. So when we dealing with the Fertile Crescent and all that, you can thank our people for that, our ancestors. It says the Neolithic Revolution also referred to the agricultural revolution. It's thought to have begun 12,000 years ago. It coincided with the end of the last ice age and the beginning of the current geological epoch. The Holocene in it forever changed how humans live, eat, and interact, paving the way for modern civilization. So if you don't have the Neolithic Revolution, if you don't have agriculture, you don't have civilizations. That's simple. During the Neolithic period, hunter-gatherers roamed the natural world, foraging for their food. But then a dramatic shift occurred. The foragers became farmers, transitioning from hunter-gatherer lifestyle to a more settled one. So the people became more sedentary. Again, when you become more sedentary, that's when you can develop science, math. You can develop permanent dwellings. You can develop these things and develop civilization and grow and expand instead of always living on the move. It says, why settle down? Though the exact dates and reasons for the transition are debated, evidence of a move away from hunting and gathering and toward agricultural has been documented worldwide. Farming is thought to have happened first in the Fertile Crescent of the Middle East, where multiple groups of people developed the practice independently. Thus, the agricultural revolution was likely a series of revolutions that occurred in different times and different places. There are a variety of hypotheses as to why humans stopped foraging and started farming. Population pressure may have caused increased competition for food and the need to cultivate new foods. People may have shifted to farming in order to involve elders and children in food production. Humans may have learned to depend on plants they modified in early domestication attempts, and in turn, those plants may have become dependent on humans. With new technology come new and ever-evolving theories about how and why the agricultural revolution began. Regardless of how and why humans began to move away from hunting and foraging, they continued to become more settled. This was in part due to their increasing domestication of plants. Humans are thought to have gathered plants and their seeds as early as 23,000 years ago and to have started farming cereal grains like barley as early as 11,000 years ago. Afterward, they moved on to protein-rich foods like peas and lentils. As these early farmers became better at cultivating food, they may have produced surplus seeds and crops that required storage. This would have both spurred population growth because of more consistent food availability and required a more settled way of life with the need to store seeds and tend to crops. So again, this is huge. This is huge and pivotal part of time that our people, our ancestors, played a huge role in, and we should be happy about. You understand? And be proud of our ancestry. That's why I said you got an Israelite bringing honor to Haplogroup E. Where's these African, pro-Afrocentric people bringing honor to Haplogroup E? They give all our honor to A, B, J, R. Anything that's called African, you give our honor to it. But really, you should be focusing on your most recent common ancestor, which is the one who brought forth E. Anyway, back to the article. Animal domestication. As humans began to experiment with farming, they also started domesticating animals. Evidence of sheep and goat herding has been found in Iraq and Anatolia, modern-day Turkey, as far as back as 12,000 years ago. Domesticated animals, when used as labor, helped make more intensive farming possible and also provided additional nutrition via milk and meat for increasingly stable populations. The agricultural revolution had a variety of consequences for humans. It has been linked to everything from societal inequality, a result of humans' increased dependence on the land and fears of scarcity, to a decline in nutrition and a rise in infectious disease contracted from domestic animals. But the new period also ushered in potential for modern societies, civilizations characterized by large population centers, improved technology, and advancements in knowledge, arts, and trade. Again, That's why agriculture is so important, and why it's so important in the world and human history, and why I'm really riding the coattail of Haplogroup E and showing and glorifying it, because we brought all of these things into fruition. Our ancestors did that. You understand? Improvements in technology, advancement in knowledge, arts, and trade. That's when we started to develop these languages. That's why I had to show the brother yesterday. The Proto-Afro-Asiatic groups were Haplogroup E. Why? Because they were dealing with agriculture. They were more sedentary. They can sit down and, okay, we don't have to worry about hunting no more. Let's deal with developing knowledge now. Let's deal with developing arts, trade. Let's deal with building this language, a written language. All right, man, I'm going to end it there, man. You brothers got anything I want to say, add, or conclude to this?
No, all I got to say is good job, brother. Keep spreading it. Keep spreading it.
That's standing ovation, man. That's a good job, bro.
All right.
That's a good job, man. Oh boy, missing in action, man. That's a shame, man.
And
But this is the source, man. This is what we do. He probably wasn't gonna have no sources anyway, you know. But this is what we do, man. We source up and shut up, man. You know what I'm saying?
the major thing I just want to say, our people. We are not Gentiles. Got to wake up to that fact. We are not the Gentiles.
Right, man. Appreciate y'all brothers coming through. The audience come through like y'all always do. Y'all love us. Y'all love the support. Y'all show the love. We show the love back. We will continue to provide content this Saturday, December the 12th. The middleweight champion of the Source, King Self, the Rattlesnake, the Texas Rattlesnake, will be debating our brother Zion from Firehouse Reasonings, and that topic will be on, is Haile Selassie a descendant of King Solomon? So tune in, man. Get your popcorn.
Oh, wow.
Get your Sabbath food ready. We got a good one. We got a battle. You understand? Around 7 o'clock. You understand? You know, we be on that Negro time, but we're going to try to be punctual. We're going to make it happen, brothers and sisters. So stay tuned in to the Source. Jihad, you want to close?
Hey, man, yeah, you know, the next day, Sunday, man, we got me.
Oh, yeah, Sunday, my bad, brother. The Johnny Cochran of the Source and the Johnny Cochran of the Holy Prophets will be presenting his debut show this Sunday at 7 p.m. So tune in.
It will be called In This Sign You Shall Conquer. In this sign you shall conquer.
Right. So y'all don't want to miss that one. We got back-to-back content coming in this weekend. I might do another show early Saturday morning or Sunday morning, depending on how everything goes. But we curating content over here, man. We making great content for y'all to come on and archive into the internet and YouTube pages. With that, we're going to end it. SUC Source Up.
Hold on. We ain't finna end it yet. We got to do the like, share, subscribe, and I got to end with the rap song and commissary necessary, bro.
Oh, yeah. You got to
put out the flyer.
Well, I'm out, brother, before you get to rapping, okay? I'm out, man.
Hold on. Okay, yeah. You got to put out, and you got to put out the flyers for Sunday, too.
Yeah, the flyer coming out, man. We're gonna add that pressure to the CEO. You know what I'm saying? He playing games.
Yeah. Okay. The name of the jam here is called A G for Eternity. Because commissary is necessary. It's called A G for Eternity. Boom, boom, boom. I'll be a G for eternity. I know this hell could be burning me. But when I die, I'm going to tell them. In Galveston, Texas, 1973, was born a hustler, a young thug, a G for eternity with a will and a mind to be down with his gangster style. Grow up, live in tail and stack mail, be on top of the pile, living wild, up in the ghetto like a savage, a born loser, outcast, a black sheep, a ghetto bastard, living in the streets, dope in the cage, trying to feed the family, mama fasted and prayed. Trying to make ways for this young lad to go to school, go to church every Sunday, but too busy being a fool. My favorite toy is a pistol. I like to make them lay face down. I like to drink Bacardi, but the hood is my playground. I don't fuck around with no player hating tricks. I'm just interested in hitting licks and giving fiends a fix. I'm in so deep that this hell could be burning me. When I die, I'm gonna tell them. I'll be a G for eternity. Mm-hmm. I'll be a G for eternity. Mm-hmm. I know this hell could be burning me. Mm-hmm. But when I die, I'm gonna tell them. Mm-hmm. At the age of 13 with 7 years and no daddy, a stranger in my face talking about he's a nigga's pappy. First I got happy because of the fact that it was real, but then I got mad for all the hard times and lost tears. We never got along trying to prove who's a man. I knew that would be a problem when he told me pull up my pants, turn my head around straight, get that mess off my face, stop going inside the icebox, stand not so late. So I'm packing up my bags because I'm finna leave. The only luggage I carried was a dope sack and a sack of weed. Done been betrayed by my tea. Now I'm about to clown no whole ass nigga. Came in the picture changing shit around. Now I'm down with the nigga that I'll die with. Affiliated, initiated by the nigga that I ride with, that I will cry with, that I will lie with. Them niggas I used to roll through the splits and drive by with. Shit. And puff on fry with. We got some down ass bitches harder than niggas and y'all click ready to sell some dope and get they bang on for the night is over. Me and my niggas be running the train on, and they can even drink and smoke more than you and me. Pass the key. I'll be a G for eternity. Mm-hmm. I know this hell could be burning me. I'll be a G for eternity.
Hey, Jihad,
but when I die, tell him. When I die, go tell him I'll be for eternity, my nigga.
Hey, like we said, man, tune in Sunday, the Johnny Cochran, of the Source and the Johnny Cochran of the Holy Prophet Jihad. We'll be presenting his show, his debut show. Y'all don't want to miss that. And Saturday, like I said, King Self versus Zion. King Self, the middleweight champion of the Source, will be debating Zion on Haile Selassie. Is he the descendant of Solomon or not? We're going to figure it out Saturday. Y'all be there or be swept. And you know how we do it. SUC signing off.
And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, baby. Commissary is necessary. Johnny Cochran of the Holy Prophet, Source Debate Lead. Please say the Yah and Joshua in this MO. Yeah, we out. And tanks on the ground, baby. 10 toes down, tanks on the ground. 10 toes down, tanks on the ground. We out.
Peace.
Peace.